Coaching live from Kiowa Island, presented by Cadillac. We're talking about all things golf for the everyday golfer. We've got exclusive interviews, insights, and coaching demonstrations from the world's best coaches, the true heroes behind the major champions, to get you excited about developing your own game. Whether you're completely new to the game or maybe you're a seasoned veteran of the sport, we've got the insights to help take you a step further on your golfing journey. So stay tuned. And with that, we welcome you into our PGA Coaching Live set presented by Cadillac. Round one of the 2021 PGA Championship well underway, and things are beginning to take shape as that morning wave almost through with their round. And Melanie Collins alongside Steve Scott. Steve, score is a bit lower than I think we anticipated, being that this course is so long.
It is. Keegan Bradley, it almost looks like going back in time here. We had Keegan Bradley and Jason Duffner towards the top of the leaderboard there, players who have played pretty well 7, 8, 9 years ago, both past PGA champions.
Well, what a day it's been so far. And I know when every player approaches their ball, they have a little bit of a pre-shot routine. There's one guy who barely has one. It's so quick.
Well, he's towards the top of the leaderboard as well. He just relinquished his lead to Keegan. It's Matt Jones, Australian Matt Jones, and he was the victorious at the Honda Classic not too long ago down in Florida. But yeah, Matt Jones really plays quickly. And this game, before I get to my demo, just to understand, this game is so important to be athletic. The PGA coaches that you can find in your local area will really help you, guide you on your journey to being athletic in this game. And I really think that the American development model, that's really the brainchild behind the PGA Coach platform, really helps the players develop at the right age and at the right time. And I think it's worked in USA basketball, USA hockey, and now we're applying it to the game of golf. But yeah. Matt Jones, he moves and he gets after it. And he really makes it simple. He really makes this game very much a reactive sport, like one would play any other sport. And this is the great thing about golf too. And you find players, like a Gary Woodland or these type of players who have played and been successful in other sports, and they apply it to golf. But the Matt Jones, what he does so well, I mean, his routine is this, and don't blink because you're going to miss it. He stands behind the ball. He takes a look where he wants to go. And this is going to be quick. And he walks right into it. One look, and he hits it.
And
right?
Steve,
I mean, there's no time to think.
Yeah, what is the strategy behind that? Because is it like so you don't overthink anything?
If you think too much, you're going to stink. That's the way it is.
That's what they say.
You can't overthink this game. Become athletic. Train out here on the range, and then when you get on the golf course, just get after it and be an athlete.
All right, with that, let's send it out to our roving range team, Scott Walker and Rich Jones. But first, let's learn a little bit more about Rich. A 17-year member of the Metropolitan PGA section, Rich Jones has an extensive track record of success in developing and managing player development programs throughout Long Island.
His coaching ability really revolves around not only the expertise that he has with equipment and with changing technologies, but he also is really able to connect with the golfer in a way that just establishes a quick rapport with them, makes them feel comfortable, and helps them retain the information.
Known as a tremendous recruiter of newcomers to golf, Jones is committed to not only introduce, but keep golfers engaged in the game.
I was ready to give up. You know, you lose your strength, you lose this, hospital stay here or there. Each time I come back, he just brings me right back up. Rich brings me right back up as far as he can. I now know I will not ever give up on golf.
Rich's junior programs have enabled approximately 3,000 junior golfers access to the game.
Rich is so passionate about the game. You see it in everything he does. He doesn't just express it in words. Rich expresses it in like emotion and in action.
So you seen a little left to right or right to left?
Oh, no break. That's left.
Left? Okay, good.
For his tireless efforts in growing the game, in 2020, Rich was honored with the National PGA Player Development Award.
You think about Rich, he's somebody that you would want to represent your organization. So whether that's Dick's Sporting Goods and Golf Galaxy, the PGA, he's somebody that you want to be the face of that organization.
He bleeds the PGA of America. He really has dedicated the majority of his life to this.
And thank you, guys. We are happy to be joined by Rich Jones as we are here on the range for PGA Coaching Live. And one of the players that some might consider a sleeper here would be Abraham Ancer. Really good ball striker, some really good finishes. And if he does putt well, he's one of those players that could contend on this golf course. He talked earlier this week about what he's comfortable with equipment-wise. And he said, I'm not changing anything. What do you notice about his equipment?
Amazing, right? So you mentioned about putting, right? So I think all the players today, in order to score well, putting has to be on. But his equipment, just looking over at his equipment, it just seems like they're graphite shafts. Now it might just look like they're painted, but it looks like a graphite shaft. Certainly the way he's flighting the golf ball, but for the most part, I mean, hey, listen, he's swinging it good. Why change anything coming into this championship?
All right, let's get a closer look and get more in detail at what he's doing. And what do you like about the move?
I like, he takes it to the top, sets it, and just drop that, right elbow in, and you can see the transition through that golf ball. His lower body generates a lot of speed, and what we talked about in the studio in terms of balance, he's so balanced, and you're going to need to maintain that balance in a windy condition. Look how balanced he is as he gets through that golf ball, that lower transmission there.
It's a lot of good work by his coaches, Christian Campion, and his short game coach he mentioned in his press conference yesterday, Ramon Bescansa. And both of them have been with him a long time. And again, that shows how a coach can help guide a player from, in his case, from Mexico to all the way to the PGA Tour.
Absolutely, right? So the coach is very important. As you need that coach not just as a mentor but as a guide to remind him what he's doing so well, right? So when he gets to the range, transfer it to the golf course. So I look for big things to happen from this young man.
So interestingly, as we've watched him over the last 10-15 minutes, trying to get a little bit loose with the wrist, a few different exercises, and then how do you like the way he's gone through his bag here to prepare for his tee time?
So amazing. A lot of players, have different routine. And I noticed when he started with his lob wedge or something with a high loft, and he's just lobbing it up there, not really just going hard at it. And he started with the lower clubs, went to his mid irons, and then now he's starting, seems like he's with the long irons, trying to flight that golf ball because the wind is blowing pretty hard at us. So I like the control, I like the balance, and I like what I'm seeing.
Well, yesterday he talked in his press conference about, or he was asked whether or not he was going to change his club. Some players may be going to a longer iron, 2-iron or something like that. And he said, look, I hit the ball really low anyway. I can flight down my 5-wood. I love it. I'm not changing a thing. What do you see about his ball flight, particularly into this wind that's kind of freshening here in the afternoon?
Absolutely. I love his ball flight. I mean, listen, I think he's more concerned about getting it high, hitting it high. I think he has no problems hitting it low. That 5-wood of his, certainly he hits it low, so why change to another iron if that's working for him? No need to mess with something if it's not working. I mean, if you can flight the golf ball low and hit it low, stay with it. Don't change.
All right, Rich, well, we've gotten a good look at Abraham Ancer. We have so many players that we're going to see here over the next 2 hours. We'll look forward to be back here on the tee, here on PGA Coaching Live.
All right, great stuff on the range, guys, and we welcome you back into our PGA Coaching Live set presented by Cadillac, and we are so excited to be joined by 17-time LPGA Tour winner, 2-time major winner, current CBS broadcaster, and you can add author to her resume now as well. Dottie Pepper, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you both for having me. Thanks everybody out there for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. How's your week been so far? I know you were here 25 years ago playing that match against Annika. What's the difference in the course now, and what's it like being back?
There really aren't that many differences because it was still so new then. The golf course was only 5 years old and it played very much like it is right now. The 18th hole has been moved. The 18th green is not in the original position. And I think the biggest difference that I learned about from the Ryder Cup to when we played that match in '96 to today is that originally there were no fringes surrounding any of these greens with the severe bulkheads. It went directly from green into what was a hazard then, now a penalty area. So it was if you think it's brutal now, It was much more brutal then.
Try again.
Try again, yeah. But I remember it was this wind we played in, started in the morning, very quiet. I had come down and played a lot of practice rounds here. Loved the place enough to end up buying a piece of property, a little condo
Oh, good
here.
for you.
So I lived, I
Amazing.
spent my winters down here practicing. But it's a golf course you need to see in all conditions.
Yeah.
And I think I was very fortunate. The first time I played, it was, you would never believe, totally still. So I saw
Wow.
the golf course just for what it would be. But then I saw it in all the other conditions because I prepared so hard for that match, and I think it was an advantage.
Absolutely. Well, you are good friends with our dear friend Joe Hallett. Joe,
I was going to say
take it
two-time
away.
major champion, et cetera, lifelong friend, Dottie, and I always know if there's a person I need to call and get an uplifting word or a good chuckle, I can always text you. And
Vice versa.
You've had that person in your life, and you recently took the time to write about it and share a little bit of that with us, because it's just an amazing story.
Well, at first, I think it's so great that we're talking about coaches because it's also the mentorship part of it. It's the personal connection, and that's really important, no matter what level of the game you're at. But I had that guy in my life, that man in my life, who was a retired PGA professional. He was also an agronomist, a golf course architect. He did it all, built golf clubs, all the way back with the connections to Seymour Dunn, and beyond that to the beginnings of the game. So he had golf DNA at its greatest. And as a 14-year-old, I reached out to him just for looking for tournaments to play in, because the club professional wasn't doing a great job of just harvesting the paper entry fees.
Sure.
Entries that we used to fill out. And he kind of pointed me in the right direction. And then a year later, my dad had really taken me as far as he could in the game, and it was time to reach out to real professional help. And I wrote his daughter a letter. I was too chicken to write to him. And Mr. Pulver, after reading the letter that I wrote to his daughter Madeline, said, yes, I think that would be great. And then his wife died 4 days later. So I filled a gap in his life, and vice versa.
It's amazing. You were kind enough to send me kind of an advanced copy of this, and reading it, I almost saw some lessons for today's juniors and today's parents in there to go.
Yeah.
A golf lesson it's not just about your swing and the technical data. There's a bigger picture here.
Yeah, he was really big on course management. Huge on preparation, down to making sure you had the proper rain gear. Thinking about yes, and making sure you had extra gloves, all that sort of stuff, to go to play tournament golf, because you didn't know what the weather would throw at you. He was really big on resiliency, knowing that you're not going to have your best stuff every day, and that you need to have a plan to work around the golf course, be prepared for some bad stuff to be thrown at you. But he was also really big about being aware when you're getting burned out, and when you do need to kind of pull the reins in and take a break. He was always really big on when it's not fun anymore, to back away.
Yeah.
And the other thing was education. He saw what education could do for his 3 children. They all had advanced degrees. And I was the first in my family to go to a 4-year school. We both survived Furman.
Yes.
and loved every minute of it. I mean, I can speak for I think for both of us it was a wonderful experience being there when we were there, and learned so much, and were able to take those lessons forward. But he was really big on the value of an education, and knowing that being a golf professional, being a tour golf professional, is a full-time job, and to be prepared for that.
So tell us the story of the letters. Kind of take us through this, and maybe the surprise, not without giving anything away, the surprise at the end.
You might want to get a handkerchief handy.
Yeah.
I promise you.
So after every lesson, and then often, much more often, as our relationship developed, I'm 15 and he's 81.
Wow.
And the only other student he had was his daughter Madeline when she came rolling into town, and he was still working for her and with her, and she was in her late 40s at the time. So he was constantly tootling at the game, but he loved to write, and he loved to be on his typewriter. He was a cub reporter for the Saratogian, the local newspaper, when he was a kid, and that shone through. And after every lesson, he would type a letter, and most times it was not postmarked. He had driven by and put it in the mailbox in front of our house. And I have them going back to the first ones were sent to the house in '80, because he was talking through those letters or entries that I was looking for. But once we started actually working physically together, it was after every lesson it was a 1-page, really dense rehash of what we were working on, and then always ending with something positive. It was always, and on top of that, no reply is expected. Oh. So he was magnificent about that, but he reinforced what we worked on, and was constantly looking forward.
And this man, George Pulver, there is a charitable aspect to this book as well.
There is. He was a World War I veteran, came back injured, and the Saratoga Warhorse gets 10% of all the proceeds that come out of this book, and they did, through equine therapy and off-the-track thoroughbreds, help those who have helped us in the service with post-traumatic stress disorder. So they are a 10% recipient of what we're doing with the book.
One more quick one before you go. Joe brought up the names of your dogs earlier.
Oh, geez.
We want to hear them.
So my first Chow Chow of all things was named Shank.
Shank. Love it.
You got to be pretty confident about your golf game to
you
have
want to
that,
talk
right?
about resilience and no fear. This lady exemplifies it.
My second was Furman.
Furman, love it.
Yes, for our beloved school. The third was JP, Jackpot. I figured I hit the jackpot with her. And there's now on the Furman women's golf team, because she played so much bigger and harder than she really was, and rehabbed a knee injury and the whole 9 yards. So there's actually an award in the Furman's women's golf program for her. It's the JP Pepper Award. Very funny. And now I have Rupert. So
Rupert, wonderful names. Well, Dottie Pepper, we can't thank you enough for stopping by. We appreciate it so much. Let's send it out to Colin Morikawa and his coach, Rick Sessinghaus.
So with the wedges here, I know you do a couple different shots to get your feel, right? The feel versus real. You're gonna tell me, once you've hit this shot, the intention's 30 yards, how far you think it actually went, and then we're gonna kind of test it to see if that is matching your feel.
Perfect.
Okay, did that feel like 30?
Yeah.
Okay, let me shoot it. You're pretty good. That's 30, okay. Do you think in terms of like a position where you're gonna be here, or is it strictly feel-based?
I think it's a combination of both. I kind of have my spots if I'm about what I feel is midway through my body or what I feel is just below my shoulder. Whether it's there or not, I don't know, but at least I have a feeling and I'm able to gauge what distances those are.
So let's go one more 30.
Short.
This time, I want you to hit a 60-yard shot.
Feels pretty good to me.
Feels pretty good. Okay. I think we had 57 on that one.
Pretty close.
For you to get that feel of how far that ball's flying is going to help your confidence when you go out there. Let's do a 60-yarder. How'd that feel?
Pretty good. Right on 60.
60 it is.
There we go.
Come home. Come home.
It's time to learn how to clump putts like Cantlay. Patrick Cantlay is one of the best putters on the PGA Tour. He's so accurate from a longer distance away, he rarely three putts. Today I'm going to show you how to clump more putts closer to the hole. I've got 5 balls, and I'm going to try and get all 5 golf balls inside of a zone close to the hole. I have a tee about 1 foot short of the hole and 1 tee 2 feet past the hole. My goal is to get all 5 putts that end up inside the 2 tees and try and see if I can get all 5 in a row. Once I do that, I'm gonna move back location back to 25 feet and then move back all the way to 40 feet as I continue this drill. We're trying to swing this putter similar to a pendulum. The club is gonna move back and through the same distance. Try this drill out and see if it improves your long distance putting game like Patrick Cantlay.
And action!
Pictures up!
Pictures up!
It's all about it's called. It's called. Hi, I'm Colin Morikawa, and this is Behind the Scenes with Cadillac. That's a beast of a car right there. Woo. That thing looks amazing. It's super spacious, which I kind of love. Shoot, see you guys. Oh, it is not warm. I barely went over the water. Let me think about this one really quick. This is fun. There we go. Hands free. That is awesome. Yeah, we're gonna do that again. Sorry. It's actually exciting every time I do it. Thanks for following along. That's a wrap.
We're here at the 103rd PGA Championship, and we're with 2020 PGA National Teacher and Coach of the Year, Mark Blackburn, who's got 4 players in this field this week. Mark, talk to us about the whole ecosystem of the player and all the people that are involved with getting these players ready to go, not just you.
Yeah, no, for sure. So I think one of the things that people see here on the driving range is the player, the caddy, and the coach. But there's also a big group of people who support the player. It's much like NASCAR or Formula One. There's a pit crew. So we have the performance team, we've got a trainer, we've got a chiro, a PT, then you're gonna have someone, a nutritionist, then you'll have kind of like a statistician. You'll have a lot of people that are involved trying to get the players ready. And so you just see us, but as a coach, we have to deal with all of these different cogs in the wheel, if you like. And so a week like this, there's a lot of people here behind the ropes, the player support staff, making it happen. So it's not just us coaches. We actually have other folks helping us.
Well, you've got to really calm the mechanism of your players. And one of those players is Max Homa. He's got a special caddy on the bag this week, not his regular caddy. It's Jim Bones Mackay, who caddied for Phil Mickelson through all those majors. Why is Jim Bones Mackay on the bag this week?
Yeah, so Joe Greiner, Max's regular caddy, actually qualified for the USGA 4-ball up in Seattle. So he's at playing this week, and he's with a partner of his from college, and they're playing. So Jim Bones Mackay stepped in, and it's great because obviously he has lots and lots of experience. It's great for Max to get that on the bag this week, really testing golf course. So that's why we have Bones on the bag. I'm excited. I haven't really been around him that much, but he's a wealth of knowledge, and he drops some real nuggets, which are great, and they're good for me as a coach. It's often useful to pick up on and be able to use.
Great stuff, Mark. Congratulations on all your successes on the national level, and good luck to your players this week.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
And back on the range here, looking at a really good golf swing. Sam Burns, a recent winner at the Valspar Championship at Innisbrook, and in talking with PGA coach Rodney Green, who had been at Innisbrook for a long time, he always told me that's a place you have to be able to work trajectory. What is Sam doing this week to take spin off of it and keep his trajectory managed here?
Yeah, Scott, amazing, right? Just by looking at him and seeing what's going on, you can just really see the way he's flighting the golf ball. He's playing this nice little baby fade and certainly playing it towards the back of his stance. And you can see that glove hand, he's holding it off and really flighting that golf ball a little bit lower, taking the spin off so the wind does not really affect it as much.
Well, let's go ahead and take a closer look at Sam Burns, who is working with his PGA coach, Brad Pullen. Has the alignment stick out? Do you like being able to confirm what you're trying to do in the golf swing?
And you know, again, confirmation, right? He's got alignment stick just slightly left of his target and really just holding that club face slightly open as he goes through the golf ball. You can see that ball position. If you zoom in a little bit closer, you can see it's more close towards the back of her stance, not so much in the front. So flighting the golf ball, really working and controlling the spin and keeping it low.
What does the rehearsal tell you about what he's trying to do?
So taking that club a little bit more on the outside, dropping the club as he starts the downswing more from the inside, and really keeping that club face just slightly open. Another thing that I'm noticing here with this TrackMan behind him. So every time he makes that swing and make that contact, he goes back and makes sure that spin rate is lower. So confirmation, making sure that what he's doing, it's really, it's working.
So what is the best way to control spin rate? Is that really where we get, if it's breezy, swing easy?
Yeah, so, you know, the whole cliche, right? When it's windy, swing easy, right? Because if you swing too hard, you're going to be in your neighbor's backyard. And I think what he's doing, he's not really trying to swing any harder. He's just taking his normal swing and really just making some, fundamentally changes, maybe choking down, as you can see with the handle of the club. His grip is a little bit lower and really holding it off and playing that ball position, just working the wind.
With changing ball position, for some amateur players, they're just trying to get something consistent. and trying not to move it around. What should amateur players do? More important to move it back and forth, or keep one and try to work a stock shot?
So I say stay a stock shot, all right? Don't try to make too many changes. If you can work, work your swing and make sure that it's consistent, whether it be playing that ball position in one position. Once you're comfortable with that, then you can start working and making different changes.
Well, Sam Burns, one of those players that's just coming off a win, a great ball striker, and someone that we could look at maybe holding a Watermeter trophy on Sunday.
Well, PGA coach Joanna Coe and I decided to take a little hike out to the side of the players' practice range where we've got some fescue because we want to talk about how to hit out of this stuff. So, Joanna, when you look at what these players are dealing with this weekend, if they miss that first cut of rough, they're dealing with sandbanks, marshland, and fescue. How do you go about hitting out of this? Because I usually just pick up my ball and take a drop.
Which is legal, by the way. That's called an unplayable lie, and 2 club lengths no closer to the hole. But if you do want to hit out of the fescue, which these players are going to face probably at least once this week, and to be honest, our average player, you're not going to hit every fairway. So you have to manage this situation, okay? So as you can see, it's a pretty gnarly lie. So I want you to remember 3 things, Melanie, all right? Speed, steepness, and loft. So we need a ton of speed to get through this grass. Steepness, we want to make sure the club is approaching the ball in a steep angle of attack, so we're not catching a lot of grass behind it. And then we need loft. But because of this scenario, the ball is going to come out low with no spin, so it's just going to kind of run out a little bit. So I'm going to get in this golf ball, a little bit more weight on my left side, feel like my hands are hinging this club up quickly, and I am smacking the back of this ball. It's not going to be much of a follow-through. Just get it back in play.
Are you looking to take a chunk?
It's going to take a chunk, for sure.
Wow.
Okay, so what my college coach always told me was conservative game plan, cocky swing. So it's conservative, it's back in play, I take my medicine, par, bogey at worst.
Wow, perfectly executed. Speed, steepness, and loft. In the meantime, let's check in with our friend and PGA coach, Michael Breed.
I'm Michael Breed, 2012 PGA Teacher and Coach of the Year, and I want to talk to you about planing your golf swing, why it's so important. Well, I'm on the 17th tee here at the Ocean Course at Kiawah, and this is an intimidating shot. There's no question about it. And what happens when you don't have your club on plane, your body doesn't move as functionally. What I want you to understand is that when this club moves in the right positions, it can move lighter and you'll make a more consistent dynamic motion. Now, here's how you're going to do this. You're going to teach yourself to plane it by going to a split grip. So we make a practice swing where when we set up and we make a backswing, my trail hand, my right hand, is to the right of my lead hand or my left hand. When I do that, now all of a sudden, the handle of the golf club is on an angle, and the head of the golf club now is back away from the strike line. That's going to allow me to be in a planed position. Many times what you see out of players is the club crosses the line. That's when the hands get stacked or the right hand gets to the left of the left hand. We want to make sure it's the other way, and this little drill helps you. So you make some swings like this. You can feel that just like that, and now you stand up to maybe one of the most intimidating shots of all the shots that you have at the Ocean Course. Now you're really relying on your plane here. Oh, this is good here. This one has my attention. Yeah, and a nice kick. Good things happen to good swings. So remember, when you want to plane your swing, just do this simple split hand grip. You're going to put the heel pad of your trail hand right where the grip meets the shaft. And then all you're going to do is just make some practice swings and feel that trail hand getting to the backside of the lead hand. Then you let your other hand come down. Now we're touching like our normal grip. Backswing, feel the exact same thing, and you'll feel that club on the right plane. And when that club gets on the right plane, now you're going to be able to make a consistent shot regardless of the intimidation. That's how you're going to improve your ball striking.
It's all the PGA Tour players, and I really want to be like them.
I just love seeing them play these beautiful courses and seeing their game blossom under such a perfect golfing environment.
I really like the short game area because, short game is one of the most important parts of the game. I really love how I get to improve and how I get to build on what I learn and getting to set goals and to see myself maybe even accomplish them. First time I took a swing, I thought, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this. And so I practiced more and more. I just realized that it's a lot of fun to play it. I want to go chase my dreams and be able to, become a golfer one day.
Drive to the championship!
Hi, I'm Stephen Youngner, PGA head golf professional here at the Ocean Course at Kiowa Island. We're here on the 14th hole of very dramatic par 3, and we're going to talk a little bit about putting today. A couple of the unique aspects of the greens at the Ocean Course is the type of putting surfaces that we have. We have a unique grass on these greens called paspalum grass. Folks that visit us that are used to putting on Bermuda grass sometimes take a little bit of time to adjust to this grass because there is no grain. The ball rolls very true, and the gravity of the green is really the determining factor on the break of the putt. This green is probably the most exposed to the wind. So what that means, this green would be slightly faster than some of the other greens. So we want to take a little bit of pace off and play a little bit more break. So I've got about a 20-footer here, and I think this putt's probably going to break about 3 inches to the right. I hope this putting tip helps you in your next round at your local course.
The PGA Championship begins this Thursday with its flourish of thrills and emotions as past champions and challengers alike will compete for the prestigious Wanamaker Trophy.
I was in a very good state of mind all week, and then I felt once we got to the weekend, especially Sunday, I felt like it was time to go get it. I love having the little plate in my locker saying the 2017 champion, but I would like to have a lot more years on it.
The 103rd edition of the event will take place on the notoriously demanding Ocean Course at Kiowa Island in South Carolina.
I think that's something about this place. No lead is safe. Out here, it's especially those last couple holes, but really the entire golf course. You have trouble, you can lose a golf ball on any shot. You get some crosswinds, you have to hit the ball very solid, you have to place it, and hitting the fairways is a premium, and it's got some teeth. It's really just going to be about adapting, and patience is going to be key this week. And I think the person that's able to do that and not get worked up, I think is going to have a good chance.
It's great to have a couple of the main governance of the PGA of America here on our PGA Coaching Live set presented by Cadillac. John Leonard, Don Ray, PGA Vice President and PGA Secretary. Welcome.
Thank you.
What a venue for this 103rd PGA Championship. John, excuse me. The sort of thing that happens when these players can get on the first tee, and you afford the team of 20. Patrick Rada was able to hit the first tee shot. Speak to how proud you are of our team of 20 professionals out here this week.
Yeah, it's not an easy road to get here. Each one of these gentlemen started off in their sections trying to qualify for a professional national championship, and then 312 get to that, and out of that, 20 get to here. Patrick, obviously, being from Anderson, South Carolina, and playing at the University of South Carolina, what a tremendous honor for him. But there are so many great stories. I was talking to Ben Cook on the range the other day, and Ben's from Michigan, but he's also one of 3 golf professionals that represents Johns Island and Vero Beach. Tyler Collette and Brett Walker also qualified. Some great stories.
Exactly. Now, Don, you're kind of a newbie almost in a way, but you're not. You're PGA Secretary just elected back during our pandemic times in 2020, and probably a heck of a run there in getting to that point. But how proud are you of the staff here at the Kiowa Island Resort and everything they've done, and how impressed are you about this facility?
Right, I mean, it's been a tough year. I mean, everybody's working so hard at the facility. We're seeing just amazing increase in golf play. They still had to do a job here. Obviously, it starts with Roger Warren. He's past president of the PGA. But how about Stephen Younger, PGA head golf professional? They have daily play out here, and it's also getting ready. No doubt the PGA of America has this amazing tournament staff. But don't underestimate the PGA head professional, the PGA director of golf. So director of golf's Brad Gerard, amazing job. Stephen Younger, amazing job. Obviously, Jeff Stone, who's the superintendent. But I'm telling you right now, as a head golf professional, to do daily play and then hold a major championship at your facility, man, I think Brian and Stephen did a great job.
No question about that. A few of our coaches here this week, Joanna Coe, Rich Jones, really big into the PGA Junior League. Don, speak to the PGA Junior League and the greatness that exudes all over the country.
And I wish you could just see it at Augusta Ranch Golf Club right now. I mean, it's amazing, right? I mean, there's so many different teams, so many kids, boys and girls playing together, families walking down, seeing them play. The National Championship at Greyhawk Golf Club, I mean, are you kidding me? For the first time, we've got team play in sports, and to see those kids, dude, helping each other while they're reading putts and doing those things. PGA Junior League is revolutionizing junior golf, and we're so proud of that program, and all the coaches, PGA members across the nation making it happen.
Now, John and Don, we know that you don't get to this point in your careers, in your lives, without some people that impacted your life. Don, and then John, please speak to a couple of people who were influential in your life and your journey.
I'll tell you what, I mean, I'm a junior. So my dad, Don Ray Sr., gave me that Ben Hogan book, right, Steve, The Modern Lessons of Golf, right, those 5 lessons. That's how I started. I definitely have to give some shout out to Scott Sackett, right? He was so good. He was the first guy who actually ran me through a clinic. I was saying, this is how you teach a grip. Let's see 2 fingernails. Let's see 2 knuckles, right? So I certainly got to tell them. And I'll tell you what, Jim Flick, when I was a young golf professional, wrote him a letter because I read his book. And he wrote me a letter back saying, anytime you want to come out down, watch me teach. And so those 3 guys, and it just shows you the power of the PGA of America.
John, same question.
So I grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and when I grew up, we had 4 renowned golf professionals. We had Carl Eunice, you had Manuel De La Torre, you had Bob Brew, who actually played on the Champions Tour, but my coach was Steve Bull. And Steve got me involved in the game and kept me going all the way through college. I got into the business and given an opportunity from Mike Clayton in Sarasota, Florida, to start, cutting my teeth in teaching. And then Jim Logue was a mentor of mine who taught me the ability to play, but the importance of instruction.
Well, thank you both for being here and supporting the 28,000+ PGA professionals all over the country. Thank you so much for your time. And let's head out to the range. Scott and Joe are out there, and they're going to give you some great info.
All right, Steve, thank you. And we're looking forward to really getting deep into Phil Mickelson, of course, the Baltusrol champion for the PGA Championship. And it's been interesting watching him compared to some other players. We talked to Joe Hallett earlier, and he was saying, look, not as many players are using launch monitors and things like that. Phil Mickelson has 2. What does it tell you about the way he uses technology?
Amazing, right? So, Phil has embraced technology, right? Not just 1, but 2 pieces of equipment. And I think it's more about confirmation. He's making sure that 1, the TrackMan, or I think it's a Foresight there, in terms of the numbers are maybe the same. And that's important, right? Because you want to be able to confirm what you're trying to do. So if you're trying to work on reducing that spin rate, you want to make sure both numbers are identical.
And when you talk about reducing the spin rate, what was interesting is his coach, Andrew Getson, actually stepped in a little bit into Phil's left-handed stance spot just to look at divots. What do you think that is doing in terms of how they're measuring what spin is going to do into the wind?
Yeah, that's another good point. Notice what he did, after making contact with the golf ball, making sure that the divots are not too shallow, they're not too deep, and at the same time making sure they're from the same position. So if he's trying to play this golf ball in the back of a stance, he wants to make sure that it's at the same spot where it's at, and then check the angles and check the TrackMan or the numbers to see that they're actually working together.
All right, let's take a closer look at Phil Mickelson. Of course, winning recently multiple times on the PGA Tour Champions. So he has shown great form and has obviously the ability, really got off to a good start at Quail Hollow a few weeks ago, so still has the ability to put up some really good numbers.
Yeah, we were talking 44 wins right on tour. He's got 3 majors.
5
majors.
Yes.
Okay, 5 majors. Yeah, 5 majors. But certainly, I think he's got 1 PGA Championship, right?
Yes, the one in 2004 in Baltusrol.
Yeah. So hopefully we can see how this pans out with the wind, and hopefully we can get another one in there, another PGA Championship.
For a player like him who really is it's funny, he combines two different philosophies. He is a field player, particularly with that short game, but we heard him talking specifically about numbers here with the technology. How should a player find his or her own formula to balance that?
Yeah, so there's not one swing fits all, and he's certainly, as you said before, he's a field player, right? So a field player who's going to make sure he wants to know what's going on with that club head. He's not trying to change anything. Phil's been out here a long time. He's got some experience, so certainly he's just bringing what he's already know to the table. So really just a matter of employing what he's already know to this championship.
So he's closing in on about a half hour from his tee time. 114 I should say, off the #1 tee with Padraig Harrington, the European Ryder Cup captain this year, and Jason Day, who is just left of him on this practice tee. When you're looking at a player, and we've talked about Bryson DeChambeau as well, how many variables can a player handle in terms of their mentality? Some players love a lot, some don't. How do you know as a coach how much a player can handle in terms of considerations and variables, and how much should you keep it simple for certain players?
So, I think the key part there is mental, right? So the mental part of the game is so important. Physically, I think they have those parts of the game, the long, the short, and the mid. But the mental part of the game in terms of, bringing it to the table. So when I look at and talk to my students, you've got to go with what works for you and trust it, right? Like we alluded to earlier, and in the days prior, trust, right? It's a relationship, so you have to trust what works and believe in what brought you here. So it's not so much the long, the short, they all have it, but mentally, can they pull that one shot off?
Okay, what is he doing with those two alignment sticks there? And the contact and impact is very close to that second alignment stick.
Yeah, so Phil brings certain things to the table that sometimes I don't know, but I think it's really is just a matter of trusting the line. I mean, obviously he started without it, and now maybe dropping the alignment stick just to confirm what he started with. So again, confirmation. He hit balls without them. Now I'm going to hit balls with them to somehow maybe confirm my alignment. So feel and real becomes the same.
In fact, that alignment stick just moved over to the left where his divot was, and then he took his shaft to be able to see if that alignment was exactly right.
Absolutely. Again, it's confirmation, trusting what you have, right, and what works. And I just love the fact that, again, he embraces all technology, everything, and he works towards it. So certainly I look for Phil to do some really wonderful thing in this championship. He's got the experience, and certainly I think he's got the mental toughness to win this.
It's interesting because all PGA coaches, true experts in the game. But Mickelson, as a 50-year-old, multiple major winner, as a coach, what can you learn from players? What do you learn from every player of every different experience that you then take to the next experience that you have?
So it's the next level, right? Everybody wants to get to the next level. But one thing that I realized and I learned from all my students, everyone from the top players, tour players, collegiate players, even the beginners, they all want to be good, and they all are working on something, right? Whether to get to that next level, working on that one swing thought, but everybody has one goal, and they want to make sure that they're getting to that goal. So really, it's just a matter of taking what works for you and transferring it to the golf course. And at this level, they've done that nicely.
Famously, Phil Mickelson has been on a absolute fitness regimen here over the last year and a half, right? And you can see it in his body. As fitness levels change, does it change the way you as a coach approach what a student can do?
Absolutely. I mean, fitness plays a big part in the golf swing, right? So you may start doing one thing because your body type allows you maybe inability to turn. Obviously you get more physical. Maybe the left side is a little bit weaker or stronger. So your physical ability will enable you to do certain things if you're physically fit. And certainly you look at Phil, he's a lot fitter today than, say, 10 years ago, even 5 years ago.
Right.
So he's certainly, that's going to affect his swing in certain ways.
What can you tell about the feel that he's trying to get? That left hand, he was trying to kind of sweep that through a second ago, get that feel. What does that tell you?
Yeah, again, you look at all these, and we've been here quite a bit now watching all these players, and I think the wind is coming at us. I think, from what I'm seeing, everyone's flighting the golf ball. They're trying to keep it at a level where the wind is not really going to affect it. It will affect it, but they're trying to control it. And, when you look at his left hand, that left hand as it goes through, I mean, he's dominant, right? But he just controls the golf ball and are really trying to hold it off. But I think more importantly, if you look at his ball position, all right, forward center, right, and he's kind of just forward pressing that in a little bit and really just holding it off as much as he can. So really, when you think about it, he's playing the golf course. The golf course is going to present itself in a way where you have to adopt, right? You have to adopt what the golf course is giving you.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because most people would say, oh, just put the ball back in your stance. Yeah. And he's using the forward press to do something similar?
Yeah, and if you look at he does that with his putt too, right? His putter is forward press. So I think that's his swing. That's Phil Mickelson's swing. So really, when you think about it, it's going to go through, the entire bag. But that's Phil. It works for him. It's certainly been effective with his game. So why change it? And it's consistent. Now he's trying to hit it a little bit higher, okay, to ride the wind. He didn't like that one, but certainly, Phil's got a way of just. I just like the fact that he's a field player, and field players just can control the golf ball. I mean, I like the way he just moves through the golf ball, and I think that new physique, right, helps a lot too.
Right. Well, look, this is a long look at a great champion, Phil Mickelson, and that's what we're able to do here on PGA Coaching Live, presented by Cadillac.
And what a location we are at, that bottom part of the screen there. That little blue tent, that's us. We're PGA Coaching Live. And you see all the players preparing for their round right there where Scott and Rich just were. The 18th hole right in the middle of the ground there, coming down towards us, the 10th. I mean, just a beautiful low country. Joe Hallett joining me here. And what a golf course, what a venue for this PGA Championship. I can't pick a better venue for this event.
It's just to see the magnitude of it, period, is amazing to see that flyover. I was going to mention, we're in a very unique vantage point here. We heard some military aircraft go by and sizzle going that direction a second ago. And we keep hearing golf balls sizzle and go the other direction time and time again.
And Pete and Alice Dye, they routed this golf course very much east and west. And this is the way the wind direction is right now. It's coming out of the east, 15 miles an hour at least, gusting to 20 for sure. So we have the first 4 holes are going to play in an into the wind fashion, and the 5th hole plays a little south, and then they work their way to the west. Going to have a lot of downwind holes, but what beautiful coastline. What an amazing place. I mean, this property, there's 5 golf courses on the Kiowa Island and this whole resort. We've got the sanctuary here, beautiful home sites. I think this is where I'm going to retire, Joe. I've figured it out. This is where it's going to be, right here on Kiowa Island. Ten holes, Joe, on the coastline, the most in all of North America here at Kiowa Island. Just spectacular. Bringing you right back into our set here, and Joe Hallett besides me, and we're going to get to a quick tip from Joe. And Joe, just give us a sense of what you've seen. You've been out on the range, you've been out there mingling. What sort of things, and we're halfway through the middle round here, and what are you seeing out there?
Well, the one thing is I keep hearing those shots, and I keep hearing those shots sizzle. And what we kind of call that with the players is they compress the ball. Don't be misunderstood. There's a lot of ball speed and club head speed happening too. But I want to give you a little tip for the average player out there to show you how these players who are the top in the world get that compression and get that ball to take off at such a great trajectory and a great angle. So let's go over here for a second. And I'm going to have you do a very simple little two-step drill. It sounds simple. It's not as easy as you think. One thing you'll see at impact with these players is that the hands are ahead of the ball. Now, you notice when I push my hands ahead of the ball, the club face opens. So as I get here, the club face actually opens a little bit. So we're going to start just by using our arms. We're going to push our hands ahead, and the object is to hit a low shot that goes out to the right. That's going to be a lot harder than you think in the beginning. Your tendency is going to be to want to do something else, to put your hands here, and then you hit a high shot that goes out to the right. That's not what you're looking for. Once you hit that low shot to the right, now how do we make that club face square? Well, here's what they're not doing. They're not doing this. What they are doing is they're using their torso to turn towards the target and keep that club face very secure and very held. So now we're going to have our hands ahead. I let it go that time harder than you thought it was. Let's try one more. Hands ahead to get the ball low. That's the shot you're looking for. Be a low shot with a lot of authority. You get this part done, you can build on the rest. Good impact means good shots.
Such great stuff there, Joe. Thank you very, very much. And man, I love that shot, and we do a lot of that hitting into the wind. Well, other guys are hitting into the wind right now. Those guys over there on the range. Let's head out there and see what's going on.
All right, Steve, thank you. And we get a chance to look at Jon Rahm here. And Rich Jones, tell me about Jon Rahm's swing and what amateurs can be able to pull from that short move of his.
Yeah, so, most of the players at home, you can kind of relate to this, right? So we think that we have to get real long on the backswing to kind of hit it far. And you look at a guy like Jon, I mean, he's certainly short swing, short backswing. Everything is compact, lower to the ground, and just really explosive through the golf ball. So it's not necessarily how far you take your swing back is going to generate the speed. It's really, if you look at him, it's very short backswing and very punchy, right? If that's a term, punchy through the golf ball. So really, I like the way that he's just staying low to the ground, short turn, not a whole lot of leverage. Okay, so he's not really taking it all the way to the top of the swing, but he's got a nice turn. He's getting behind the golf ball and delivering that position there.
Well, let's definitely get a closer look at that. And what's interesting about Rahm particularly, right, is that you're talking about a short, quick move. We mentioned before that speed creates spin. So in that situation, how does he change the way that he applies spin to the golf ball?
So I don't think he has to change his swing, but I think more than anything else, I think he has to change maybe where the ball is positioned, right? So in terms of, so he's not shortening that backswing because it's already short. For the most part, I think if anything, he's maybe choking down a little bit for the most part. So really, I just like the way that he's staying compact, and just keeping it low to the ground and just kind of explosive through the ball. I mean, he's got really good rotation, and I like the connection with the lower body and with the upper body. So great what we're looking at here.
Well, it's a move that he and Dave Phillips, PGA coach, have worked on for a bit, as he is also under the watchful eye of his caddy, Adam Hayes.
I mean, I like his chances. I mean, in terms of, there's not a whole lot of move with the lower body. Just kind of watch as he takes it to the top of the swing, making that nice rehearsal, take it top, and just explosive through the ball.
So you guys always talk about PGA, right? Posture, grip, and alignment. But look at how narrow that stance is. What does that do for him?
Yeah, so, again, he's trying to hit it low, right? And, when you think about hitting the golf ball low and, trying to move that ball towards the back of your stance, it's probably a little bit easier if you have a narrow stance. Just kind of allows you to kind of get that golf ball flighted a lot lower and a lot faster in these conditions.
That wind has really kicked up here, a big gust over the last couple of minutes. When you do see those changing conditions, how do you adjust your practice, knowing that maybe this is something you will see on the golf course from time to time?
That's a great question, and these guys have been out here You know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, get some practice rounds in, and I think the wind conditions during the practice rounds were similar to what it's like today. So you go out there, hit some shots, and see what's not working. See what you need to do to flight the golf ball. Maybe you're trying to flight it a little bit lower, taking some spin off. So really, before you transfer it to today, game day, you make sure that you practice and just, you know, you're ready to deliver.
So these players think about everything. They consider everything. And what's interesting is he and Tommy Fleetwood, both playing at that 125 tee time, are 2 stations away from each other on this more left-hand side of the range. Meanwhile, Patrick Reed, who's also playing with them, all the way down on the right. What does that tell you?
You know, Scott, I don't know if it tells us anything, but it's just saying maybe what's available on the range. It's pretty packed out here. It's pretty packed out here. So I think they're coming out and they're going like, hey, listen, let me get a spot so I can get some swings in, you know, flight this golf ball. But just notice that everyone is almost like hitting directly into the wind. And as I look up and down, you know, the tee line here, you know, everyone is really just flighting in the ball, keeping it low, and I see a lot of controlled spin. Okay, really flight. That's a really good one there.
With that short backswing that is his hallmark, is that something where less can go wrong? Because as someone who has a very long swing as an amateur, I know that the longer the swing, the longer the miss.
Yeah, so you know, I get this a lot. I mean, people say, hey, listen, do I lengthen my swing, my backswing, to get it further? A short swing like Jon Rahm has got here, as long as you get that left shoulder behind the golf ball, okay, on that backswing, he's fine. And certainly he's making a full rotation. So even though it looks short, it's certainly he's finishing that backswing. And we talked about balance, right? Look at this balance as he takes that club to the top of the swing. And he's just going to lean right into it, right? So controlled, okay? Very good there.
Well, Jon Rahm is just at 30 minutes away from his tee time here in the 103rd PGA Championship. We are looking forward to see him as we will leave our perch right now here on PGA Coaching Live.
Let's take a look at the latest leaderboard. We've got Martin Laird at the top at -4. And Steve, look who's 2 shots back. Last year's champion, Colin Morikawa.
Him along. I know he doesn't probably need that much guidance at this point. He's so great, but we all need guidance. Don't get me wrong. Brooks Koepka, 2-time PGA champion, right there as well at 2 under par. A lot of major champions right on this board right here. Keegan Bradley up there, past PGA champion. Henrik Stenson, Stuart Sink, past Open Championship champions right there. Scoring pretty good despite all of this wind. I would see the scores going up a little bit this afternoon, though.
Yeah, it's picking up.
They're going to buckle their chin straps this afternoon.
The wind is definitely picking up. We'll keep you updated on that as the day goes on. In the meantime, we are joined now by Shep Rose from Southern Charm. Shep, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
How's your week been so far? Did you just get here today?
I just got here today. I didn't do the practice rounds, but I'm just really pleased that the PGA changed to this time of year because this is perfect. And frankly, when Rory won last time, it was so hot. I just remember it being sweltering. So this is perfect.
So who are you following this week?
Well, I've got a couple buddies on tour who I won't reveal their. Well, yeah, I will.
Of course, you have to.
Well, I don't want to reveal that they watch reality TV.
Oh,
is the problem.
That's what we're here
It's not
for.
like the coolest thing in the world, apparently. But yeah, Max Homa, I played with him when he was on the Korn Ferry Tour a few years ago, and then I've watched him win 2 tournaments, and not to mention his hometown tournament. And I just think it's so cool watching someone that you're vaguely friends with achieve their dreams. It's just been amazing to watch. And then Keegan Bradley, who's on the he's a big fan of the show. He tweeted at me after season 2. We played a golf hole, and he tweeted at me, and we've been friends ever since. So it's kind of cool. Yeah.
How about Max Homa? Did he tear your outfit apart on social media too?
Yeah, he did. He actually made fun of me for wearing the same shoes every day when we played together. I was like, I don't have 100 pairs of golf shoes.
Yeah,
so.
Not like him, of course. So if you had to make a pick for who's going to win this weekend, who's your pick?
I don't know. I mean, I think I'm going for Keegan.
Yeah.
Like, I love the fact that he had to change his putter grip, you know, because of the stationary thing. And so I think it would be a cool story. And then, of course, I'm also friendly with Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka and all these guys. So, I mean, again, don't quote me on being like great friends. I'm just friendly with them. So,
Sure.
yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your golf game. Are you pretty good?
I'm okay. I grew up in Hilton Head, so I grew up playing a lot. And in North Carolina, in the mountains, in Linville, North Carolina, and then in Hilton Head. And so I was about a 10 about 3 months ago, and I shot a 75 in a tournament, and now I'm a 7.5.
Wow.
I screwed myself over.
Yeah, those tournament scores, you can't do those. But you're not only a golfer, you're an author, not only a reality TV star. You wrote in a book.
I wrote
like
a book.
Dottie Pepper we had on earlier. She has her book. You had your book. Great title here. Average Expectations: Lessons in Lowering the Bar. What's that all about?
Well, you know, expectations are future resentments. But let me rephrase that. Expectations for yourself are probably a good thing. Expecting something from others is you'll probably be disappointed. So I think that's more geared towards that.
Well, what do you expect out of your golf game? Because we're going to bring you over here for a moment because you're tall, and we have to bring this back to the coaching theme now. You're tall. Yeah. You know, I'm 5'10". You're 6'5", and our clubs, we're not going to be using the same club. So everybody watching at home has got to understand that we use different equipment. So you find your PGA coach at home and get your swing dialed in. So let's get your swing dialed in.
Usually like an inch over standard.
Here, let's try this one. Joe Hallett's a tall guy. You're going to use his clubs. All right, let's see what you got here.
So I was at
no pressure.
Lake Tahoe, that celebrity tournament, and I did Peter Jacobson's podcast, so we're friendly. And I walk up on Peter, and there's Steph Curry, and I had a couple beers, and I was like, I'd love to hit a shot, and Steph's driver was right there, and I picked it up, and he ran over. He goes, "You are not hitting my driver," and I hit his 8-iron, and I kind of pured it. I was kind of proud of myself.
All right, let's see your action here.
You don't seem like the guy that gets any jitters, Shep.
No.
No. Feel good.
Oh man.
Right.
It's pretty good,
You
right?
hit that so high it went over the wind, I think.
Hit the golf cart. Oh.
So close.
All right, let's see one more. That was awesome right there.
Yeah, it's a great
7.5.
swing.
I don't know. I want you on my team.
I'll wait till you see me around the greens.
Wow.
Man, do you have to? I was going to give you a lesson. Maybe I should be getting a lesson from you. What do you struggle with, though, in the game?
Putting.
All right.
And no, I don't know. I think it's all about off the tee. I really do. And the drive.
Well, let's get the driver out.
Okay.
Come on.
The drive for show, putt for dough, I think is a misnomer. I think it's more driving is for dough too.
And notice I'm giving Joe's driver again. There, you may want to scoot it over just a little bit more because you're a tall guy. You need a lot of space here.
Okay.
There we go. All right, we got the roof high enough. Okay, this is great.
What degree is this? Okay.
All right, let's see this action here.
I use a 12 degree because I for some reason I hit kind of down on the ball, even off the tee.
Man.
Bombed.
Well, I got to tell you, we're going to have to get around.
It's in the hospitality tent.
Oh, no, don't worry about them. They've got helmets over there. It's not an
good.
issue at all.
Good.
Everybody at Bulls Bay's got to be pretty happy that you're there playing some golf now. I mean, Low Country, Charleston action. It's great stuff. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for
Shep,
having me.
thanks so much for joining us.
All right,
Let's
cheers.
check in with Colin Morikawa and his coach, Rick Sessinghaus.
So every day we got to get our body to feel the same, right?
Every day you sleep differently, you wake up differently, and you never really know how your body is. So I've always got this red band. I'll kind of just set up like I'm hitting a golf shot and just see how much rotation I can get.
We don't want to cheat and just lift the arms. There has to be a rotation that's occurring.
You'll always see me do some leg kicks. So I'll start going forward, and then I'll start going side. And that just kind of gets the body started. You just want to be ready by the first hole, not by the 15th.
Tell us a little bit about how you go through your bag before a round.
I just go 60, 55.
I think starting with wedges is also super important for tempo.
Just to slowly get the body warmed up. I mean, I never really start with full golf swings. You kind of have to ease your way into it. I always go my 8-iron. 8-iron's my favorite club. 5-iron.
I think a lot of it is getting your mind warmed up, rehearsing a shot that you're most likely going to have on the golf course.
Actually visualizing like that's an actual pin is kind of huge for the warm-up. 5-wood, 3-wood driver. Go back with a few chip shots. I'll always end on 6 balls. It's just the way I do it.
Well, I think we're ready. Let's go.
Awesome.
All right.
Since I was a junior golfer, PGA professional Rick Sessinghouse taught me to be creative with my shots and how to execute them. His coaching guided me on my journey to become a major champion. At the PGA Championship, I look forward to competing against 20 PGA club professionals from across the country who promote the game, just like Rick. They might be underdogs, but this week, they're all players, just like me. Don't miss a team of 20 at the PGA Championship.
Do you want to be a good ball striker like Justin Thomas? Here's a checkpoint drill that's going to help your golf game. Take a mid-iron, I have my 7-iron, set up like you're going to hit a normal golf shot. You're going to take it back to where the club is parallel to the ground. Make sure you're not stuck inside or stuck outside. The club is in line with your feet. Feel the club in your fingertips. Make sure the toe of the club is pointed up at the sky. When you follow through, you're going to feel it in the fingertips again on this side, toe of the club pointed up at the sky, club in line with your feet. Swing nice and smooth, easy tempo. Hold that finish. Make sure you feel it in your fingertips. Do that drill over and over and over again. You're going to be a better ball striker.
Hey Colin, it's Rick. Just to remind you that, hey, keep that driver grip nice and loose. Grip pressure is so important here to play your best golf. So let's loosen your grip, and that way you're going to control that club face and let that power come through.
We're here at the 18th hole at the Ocean Course. What a great finishing hole. One thing we always practice is loosening our grip. You know, in practice, how do you loosen your grip? You tense up a lot, but it's also about being mentally free and just know that I can hit a great shot, hit a great cut shot down that fairway. It allows me to relax, take my deep breath, loosen my grip, and just let go. Confidence is everything. Do you believe in yourself? Do you believe in your team, your equipment? Because if you don't have trust, you're never able to reach that one goal. You know, whether it's on the golf course or behind the wheel, I think if you believe in yourself, you're able to let go. Super Cruise? That's freaky. That's awesome, though. There it goes. Just a really smooth lane change, and like, it's actually exciting every time I do it. It's so much fun.
Welcome back to PGA Coaching Live from Kiowa Island, presented by Cadillac. We're talking about all things golf for the everyday golfer. We've got exclusive interviews, insights, and coaching demonstrations from the world's best coaches, the true heroes behind the major champions, to get you excited about developing your own game. Whether you're completely new to the game or a seasoned veteran of the sport, we've got the insights to help take you a step further on your golfing journey, so stay tuned. And we welcome you into our PGA Coaching Live set presented by Cadillac for the second hour of our 2-hour show today, round 1 of the 2021 PGA Championship. I'm Melanie Collins alongside PGA coach Steve Scott. Steve, I don't think these players could have asked for better conditions for round 1.
No, I mean, the temperature, it's a very comfortable temperature. I've been wearing this vest all day, and the wind, it's very comfortable. You know, they're not sweating like they maybe did in August back in 2012, and they're out there and ready to go.
Yeah, just a light breeze today. There are a team of 20 PGA professionals taking part in this championship. Tell us a little bit about some of these guys and just how special that is.
Well, I mean, we've had some of the ones that we've had on already in our set. I mean, Rob Labrit's playing in his 8th PGA Championship, low club professional twice, last at Bethpage in 2019. Danny Balin, also, he's playing in his 8th PGA Championship. And then you go to a gentleman like Sonny Skinner, 60 years of age from the Georgia PGA section, and Stuart Smith, up there in age, but they are competing against the greatest players in the world. I mean, 60-year-old against, we had Larkin Gross on from our team of 20, and he's 23 years old, one of the youngest in the field. So.
Awesome. And Patrick Rada taking the first tee shot today. Give us a sense of just how difficult it is for those guys to get to this point.
Oh, there's so many blood, sweat, and tears to get to this point. This is really the culmination of so much hard work, so much practice. But you have to remember, they all have day jobs back at home. They all are inspirational to all of their members, and the mentorship on the practice tee, they're running tournaments, they're folding shirts, they're interacting with members and really creating the enjoyment that all these members enjoy at all their respective places.
Well, what an amazing day you and I have had so far. We had Colin Morikawa's coach Rick Sessinghaus on this morning. We had Dottie Pepper on this afternoon promoting her new book. We just had Shep Rose from Southern Charmed, what a character he was, and we thought you were going to give him a lesson, but wow, it didn't look like he really needed one. So for the folks at home, what kind of tip can you give us?
All right. Well, yeah, you know, with Shep, I mean, he just flushed it right down the middle. As a 7.5 into, I'm going to have to definitely take him on my team. But
he was
very good. Cool. But this tip is all about holes out here that we don't have to take driver on. A few holes on the front 9 working themselves out, or maybe some of the downwind holes even that are 450 or 60 yards long. Maybe they don't have to hit driver. So what we want to make sure that we do is we want to feel like I'm going to hit this power draw here. And it's really simple. Instead of setting up really square to my target, I'm just going to drop my right foot back a little bit. And this is all about shaping shots. Pete Dye and Alice Dye created this great golf course here, this ocean course at Kiowa Island, to really shape your golf ball and position it in certain parts of the fairway. The corridors have some width to them here and there, but you need to really position in parts of the fairway to access these greens properly. So let's see if I can curve this one from right to left, drop my right foot back a little bit, and make sure I turn that club face down at the point of impact.
Ooh, you almost got that bird.
Take it down the right side, turn it over, and press that golf ball. We talked a lot about that. Super important to hit the ball in the center of the club face when you're striking the ball into the wind.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of shot shaping taking place this weekend. In the meantime, let's send it out to the range with Scott Walker and Joanna Coe. But first, let's learn a little bit more about Joanna. Most mornings, Joanna Coe is up before dawn. That drive and determination has paid off in a big way as Joanna was named the inaugural Women's PGA Professional Player of the Year in 2019. She's been a dominant player in the Middle Atlantic PGA section, teed it up in several PGA Professional Championships, competed for the United States in the Women's PGA Cup, and next month, she'll once again take on the best players in the world at the KPMG Women's PGA Championship.
Good effort, get in there.
Yeah, there we go.
Looks like a 3 all the way.
Joanna's accomplishments extend far beyond the course as a PGA coach.
Well, let's start warming up.
She is the PGA Director of Instruction at historic Baltimore Country Club.
She runs an outstanding junior program at Baltimore Country Club. She's a great teacher, one of the best in the section.
So let's just work on kind of getting that body a little bit more level.
She's been a great team player. The members love her. They really enjoy You know, being around her, I mean, anyone that's around her, you can feel the excitement. You know, every day that she comes to work, I've never seen her have a bad day.
She truly loves the game of golf, and it's contagious. She makes you want to be here because golf is such a part of who she is. If we didn't have her, BCC would be a different place.
One of the best qualities she has, amongst other great qualities, is the fact that she makes the student feel comfortable, and it's more than just golf.
At her core, there's a pilot light inside her that burns very brightly.
She lives and breathes golf, and she lives and breathes energy, and I wish that I had a lot more people like her.
Beautiful.
And good to be on the range now with Joanna Coe. And Joe, let's talk a little bit about Jordan Spieth, and what are you seeing from him as he's getting ready for his 1:58 tee time about 45 minutes from now?
Well, we know that Jordan's game has looked strong the last few months, so he's made some really good progress with Cameron McCormick lately. I remember him talking in a press conference a bit ago about his strategy of, you know, shallowing the club a little bit earlier in transition so that he doesn't back out of it late. So I see him on the driving range working on his wrist angles a little bit, working on his elbows, so that's a way to shallow that golf club early in transition.
When you say working on his elbows, what do you mean?
Yeah, just squeezing them a little bit closer together, making sure that, you know, the club doesn't get too steep in the backswing.
And we're actually seeing that as PGA coach Cameron McCormick is with him. And it's been interesting to watch because that rehearsal is actually going through in his short iron swing.
Yes, we've seen it from wedges. Looks like he has a short iron in his hand right now. Cameron McCormick just moved the TrackMan, switching targets right here. But it seems to be working, and it definitely is every club in the bag for him, wedge all the way to driver, working on this specific move to make sure the club is shallow early so he can rotate freely through the golf ball.
And when you're having, well, Jordan's always having a conversation, be it with Michael Greller or Cameron McCormick or the golf ball. He's constantly talking and telling you how he's feeling. When you see someone that is actually still doing a rehearsal like that, he's clearly not struggling with his game. He is through the struggles. He has actually gotten ingrained. So why is it still important to do some of these rehearsals of things that they want to emphasize?
You know, that's just his current swing feel, so that he can trust it in those big moments. So it looks like he just has one right now, which is great. You don't want too much clutter in your brain, so he has one little thought, and it's translating well throughout the bag. And we know that Jordan likes to talk it out, and that's just part of his mental game, is to talk things out with Michael Greller, talk it out with himself, and he's staying true to himself, which if that's the type of player he is, then he needs to do that.
So he'll be going off at 1:58 with Will Zalatoris, fellow North Texas resident who just left the driving range, who was one slot over, and then Webb Simpson also just a couple of slots over here just off of your screen. He'll be going off with them at 1:58.
Think the wind's been picking up out here on the driving range?
You know, it has, although it's laid down a little bit right now. So what's interesting here, too, is that these are the players that are going off of number one. So this is exactly the wind that they want. We're not at the point of his warm-up where he may be rehearsing a particular shot on the golf course, though. It looks like it's going to be basically the same club and grooving the swing feel.
It does look like he's kind of grooving this feel. Hasn't switched up clubs yet, but earlier he did have a wedge in his hand, hitting 50-yard shots over to the right side. I could watch that all day. He is a master with a wedge in his hand.
Whether he's hitting full swings with that or whether he's chipping, yeah, he can really make some magic here. Finds a way to get the ball into the hole when he's playing his best, and he's certainly doing that right now.
Absolutely. So, you know, if he can dial in these long to mid irons, you know, he can drop some bombs as well. So if he drives it well, has some mid to long irons in his hands, he is a master on the putting green. So should be exciting to watch him. I'm excited for the next few months as well for Jordan Spieth going into the rest of the majors.
Of course, you see his PGA coach, Cameron McCormick, next to him, giving him a little bit of space at times. As a coach, how are you trying to make that balance between being watchful and allowing the player to work things out on their own?
I think he's just making sure the small details are in place, but it's probably just a bunch of a mental, I mean, at this point, pumping him up, making him feel great, making him feel like he is unstoppable. So looks like he's just casually watching. You know, Jordan likes to have that advice around, whether it's Michael Greller or his coach. So yeah, it's probably nothing serious, just fine-tuning that one swing feel that we've been watching this whole time, and making sure that Jordan Spieth feels good walking over the first tee.
Are you seeing anything with the ball flight and the trajectory here?
It's the same every time. It's gorgeous. Haven't seen him really flight anything or hit anything a little bit higher. It looks like a little baby draw into this fade wind, so it's very, very straight over to the right side of the range. Let's see here.
It looks like we're getting a replacement TrackMan in there.
Oh, battery must have died.
Well,
charge that baby overnight.
Well, some of these guys are getting a lot of use out of them. Some players just trying to get a feel, but others are trying to match that feel with the numbers.
Plus, you have to think about it. It's a warm day. It's going to be, what, a high of 80 degrees today. When it's 80 degrees, the golf ball does go a little bit farther. It was a bit cooler earlier in the week, so they're just trying to make sure that all the numbers are accurate. He switched targets over here to the left side of the range. Now it's straight into the wind on the left side there.
Well, and it's interesting because that ball flight, he was actually turning that into the wind. The wind east-northeast. That doesn't mean anything to anyone at home, but basically it's kind of quartering against him to the right, and so he's holding that ball into it.
Our viewers have a great down-the-line view right here. As you can see, he has at the top of the swing, the club looks like it's a little laid off the really flat or bowed left wrist, and that thing is shallowing in transition so that he can just rotate through the golf ball, no stalling. If he can trust that.
There's that second TrackMan back now on that new target. It's interesting because as we're looking at some of the numbers that we can see, and that's 127 mile an hour ball speed there, and carry distance of 145 yards on the last shot. Pretty similar here, this shot also. For a player, what you're just trying to get consistency, or does it matter if you're saying, well, I usually hit this club X distance and X ball speed? Am I off, or are you just trying to say measure what you're doing today?
I mean, I think he can feel it as a player. If you hit a little bit off the toe, a little bit off the heel, it's going to take a few yards off of that carry distance. He probably knows immediately. I mean, maybe his coach is looking at those TrackMan numbers, but I mean, you just have that sense as a player. He's been playing for a very long time. He could probably guess the numbers faster than the TrackMan pumps it out to Cameron McCormick. So, I mean, it all depends on that little bit of a gust in the air. Is it going to catch that ball and knock it down, or if it's going to let it just fly in the air a little bit longer? But Jordan has that sense, and he's just has that natural feel, and has his whole career.
And it was interesting to see that rehearsal then with just one hand before he took that last full string shot.
Oh, I didn't see that. Let me see if he does that again. Was it with his right hand or left hand?
Right arm.
Right arm, okay. Let's see if he... Yeah, you know, those at home, it's okay to exaggerate those feels because in reality, that feel won't be as exaggerated when you actually make a swing. So if you're working on a particular feel, don't be afraid in your rehearsals to really exaggerate it, because in reality, it's going to make a small change.
Well, we're seeing a lot of consistency from the only player in this field that can complete the career Grand Slam this week. Will Jordan Spieth do it here by the shore in the low country of Carolina?
Thank you, Scott Walker, for all that great, and Joanna Coe for all that great fodder out there on the range. Martin Laird, Keegan Bradley at the top of our leaderboard here at the 103rd PGA Championship. I'm joined here in our set by Rich Jones, and we're taking a peek at this leaderboard. Rich, anything jump out to you with all these great players on the board?
Everything is under par. Right?
Under par, yes, that's yes.
Under par. So when you think about the wind and how it's blowing out here today, and just watching the players on the range and how, the preparation, leading up to this in terms of the practice round. So you can see that, hey, they transferred to the range, making some changes, minor changes before they get out on the first day here.
Well, Martin Laird from Scotland, obviously the wind blows in Scotland very well, and he's very well attuned to what's going on here. Keegan Bradley, Brooks Koepka, Colin Morikawa, 3 champions here, and they've all have their name on the Wanamaker Trophy at least one time. Victor Hovland in there, very high on my personal ranking. Great ball striker. Stuart Sink has had a great resurrection of his career at 47 years of age this year. Ricky Fowler right there. Great to see Ricky. I know he's been going through some struggles of late. 1 under par in the top 10 here at the 103rd PGA Championship. Well, we're back on our set right now. Rich, we've had so many great thoughts about the golf swing, and our PGA coaches here, I've been so inspired myself as my own PGA coach. I want to understand, and I love being mentored by you and all the great tips that you have. What do you have for us here now?
Well, Steve, listen, man, I'm mentored by you. I've learned a lot from you, and I've learned a lot from all the PGA coaches here this week. Just unbelievable in terms of all the tips and all the drills. So for the viewers out there, listen, I think this is a treat, right? To be able to have some really great coaches to demonstrate a lot of good drills.
I think this is the greatest thing about what we're doing here. I really harken back to one of my main mentors in the game, PGA Hall of Fame instructor Bob Toski. He played on the tour back in the 1950s, and back then it was all about sharing information, keeping your friends on the tour. I feel like, just being here with you and everybody out there watching, we're sharing so much information amongst everybody out there, PGA professionals, non-PGA professionals, newcomers to the game. We're just learning so much great stuff, and I know you've got another great tip for us right here.
Absolutely. Sharing is caring, right, Steve? So definitely, I have, all through the day and the week, we've kind of seen a lot of players flight the golf ball. And I know we've talked about flighting the golf ball with different clubs and making different club selections. But one of the things that I've noticed out there, the players are using the technology wisely, right? So they've got the TrackMan. They're looking at, the launch angle. They're looking at the spin rate and really trying to make shots, execute shot, and making sure that they can really transfer that to the golf course. So prior to transferring it, they're practicing it. So I've got a simple drill here. I've got maybe a 5-iron, and I'm going to try to flight this ball very low. Again, play towards the back of your stance, and really 3/4 swing. So I'm not going to take this all the way back. I'm really going to flight it maybe just below the wind and let it ride. 3/4 and flight that golf ball. So I'm not really taking it all the way to the top, just trying to 3/4 and really punch it all the way through.
Beautiful. Now I noticed the narrowness of your stance right there. How much does that play into bringing the ball flight down?
So I play a narrow stance for that shot because, one, I want to be able to keep the ball closer towards the back of my stance. If I have that wide stance, it's going to probably promote more of a high ball flight for me. It's going to force me to play the ball forward, and I don't want to do that. So the best position to kind of keep that ball position behind you or towards the back of your stance, to keep that stance very narrow, Steve.
Great stuff. I love it. We're just learning. We're sharing. Sharing is caring. I love that saying right there. Well, another player and a PGA coach that shares and cares, Stephen Youngner. We're going to go to him. He is right from here at the Kiawah Island Resort.
Hi, I'm Stephen Youngner, PGA Head Golf Professional here at the Ocean Course. We're here at the 16th hole today in one of the very deepest bunkers or sandy areas that we have on the golf course. And there's a lot of unique features about the Ocean Course. It's all just part of the native environment that we have here. So it presents some challenges where sometimes you don't always have the greatest lie. The sand itself is not something you're used to. It's more of a sugar sand or a beach sand. So when we hit bunker shots here, because we do have that ability to take a practice swing and kind of test the sand, that's what we recommend everyone to do. So I'm going to do that here with this shot. Obviously this is a very challenging shot. We're very deep here. I'm going to take a quick practice swing and get sort of a feel for how hard or firm or soft the sand is. I'm going to step into the shot, and because this is such a deep shot, I'm going to try to open the face up as much as I can and swing through the shot. And I'm out, so that's the most important thing. I hope this coaching tip helps you next time you face a unique bunker shot like the ones here at Kiowa.
I'm PGA professional Michael Breed, standing on the 18th tee at the Ocean Course at Kiowa. And this is an intimidating tee shot, but you know what? We're downwind. And many times you get on tee shots that are downwind and you go, oh yeah, okay, I know it's a little bit tight up there, but I'm gonna hit it as hard as I can. I wanna show you how you don't have to swing harder, but you can generate greater distance. Here's how you do it. The first thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna make sure that you carry with you an extra long tee. So I've got 2 tees. These are the same tees, except one is about a ½ an inch longer. That ½ an inch is going to help me get this ball up into the air. That's a big part of being able to execute this tee shot properly. First, tee that thing up. Make sure that you've got it up into the air. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we want to launch this ball up into the air. In order to launch it up into the air, I want to do 2 things. I want to change the width of my stance, so I'm going to get a little bit wider, and then I want to change my posture. The P here of PGA, remember this, posture, we're going to alter the shoulders. So when I get set into here, wider stance, and I make sure that my shoulders are going in an upward direction, what I'm doing is I'm actually moving my ball position forward. And so now what's going to happen is that this driver is now going to be coming into the ball in an upward direction, which will launch it higher. And when we get it up into the air, now that wind is going to move it and we're going to really hit one. I don't know if I can get to 300, but you know what? I'm going to try. So here we go. 2 things. Width of stance is now a little bit wider. Shoulders are tilted up into the air like this. I've got the ball teed a little bit higher. Now, all I'm going to do is just make my normal swing, and we're going to hit this thing 330 yards, just like Rory McIlroy did back in 2012. And it's going down the fairway. The wind is moving it. Okay, it didn't go 300 yards. It only went 275, but you know what? It's a little bit farther than I normally hit it, and I'm really happy I was able to get that ball up into the air. That thing apex is a little bit higher. Distance is waiting for you. All you have to do is make these alterations. Carry that tee that's a little bit longer. Make sure you widen up that stance, and then get your shoulders tilted this way. And when you tilt your shoulders into the sky, that ball's going up into the sky. That's how you can get a little bit more distance without swinging any harder.
Yep. Hi, I'm Eric, and this is Pete Dye. He and his wife Alice designed the course that we're standing on, which is the Ocean Course at Kiowa Island. At some 7,800 yards, it's known as one of the hardest courses in the world, and it's about to host the 2021 PGA Championship. We're here thanks to Chase Sapphire, and my mission today is to break 90 from the tips. Why is the wind important? The wind is important because that's what makes a links course a links course. Built in 1991 for the Ryder Cup, this course harkens back to an era from long ago when golf was just beginning. But today's goal is a huge one, and it's to break 90 from the tips.
You got this.
Thank you, sir. Between he and I, we're very confident. With the wind switched, we have a little bit of interesting stuff to deal with, but we're here on the range now to get dialed in to see if we can make 17 bogeys. That'd be a good title for it. And now it's time to get down to business. Who's got a club? Thank you. And a ball. Got to figure out the wind. They say the first ball tells you a lot about your round. No!
And we welcome you back to our PGA Coaching Live set, and it's time now for the National Car Rental Go Like a Pro Twitter poll. And the question posed is, which former PGA champion do you think is going to win this week? And we don't have the results yet, but Steve, out of these 4 guys, who's your pick?
Well, I think I've got to stay right at who's at the top right now. Colin Morikawa, I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's going to win back-to-back PGA championships. I mean, Rick Sessinghouse, we've had some good chats with Rick so far on our Coaching Live set, and I really love the mental approach that Rick takes to the game and the maturity that Colin Morikawa plays the game. And another thing that Colin Morikawa does so well is he controls the club face so very well. And let's talk about that just for a quick second. And Brooks Koepka does this too as well, but Colin Morikawa does this very well. The left hand. You ever wonder why you wear your glove on your left hand? Well, there's a reason. It's the face controller. We have to control the face with our left hand. And so this view right here, right down the line, I want you to see this real close, okay? The back of the left hand and the club face are one unit. The club face itself is basically an extension of my left hand. The reason why Colin Morikawa is so good is that he can get his left hand, he gets it in a little bit of a bowed position when we get to the top of the screen. And look at what it does to the club face. The more I get this club bowed, on this down the line view, the club face closes. The more I get it cupped, it opens. So really understand, if you want to control your golf ball better, you have to control the back of your left hand and this logo on the back of your glove. So get it here, and you're going to feel like that wrist is going to bow, which is going to close or at least square that club. And just stripe it like that.
A great demonstration as to why Colin Morikawa is one of the best ball strikers in the game. Now let's send it out to the range to Scott Walker and Joanna Coe.
All right, Melanie, thank you. And we get the opportunity to watch one of the players, along with Shane Lowry and Sergio Garcia, in the 209 tee time, and that, of course, Dustin Johnson. When you're looking at him, actually, you said this is the first time you've actually seen him down the line here. What are you seeing about his swing? Is he about a half hour away from his tee time?
Well, I see the golf ball starting 1 to 2 yards left of the target, and it's just bleeding ever so slightly to the right. And we talked about it, it is launching pretty darn high too. So it's amazing to see that control, that baby fade that he relies on. Also noticed his divots. He doesn't have the steepest divots in the world, so he has a nice balance of that flat left wrist and that rotation. So balancing those steepeners and shallowers, but it's beautiful to watch from back here.
Is he proving that you can actually control the golf ball without necessarily trying to have a specific trajectory?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he is starting it with a very stable club face because of that, his path going slightly to the left, the face just not excessively releasing through the golf ball. So that's why he's gone with that fade for all these years, and it's really helped him control that ball flight. So it looks like he's moving more, towards a mid to long iron. That last shot carried 166 in the air. So we talked about it. You said that it was blowing 12 to 13 miles per hour, but these gusts are definitely much stronger than that.
Yeah,
so that looks like a long iron.
You're right, about 20 miles an hour.
Yep.
Certainly, and yet still being able to have the distance that he's looking for there.
So he has this alignment stick on the ground. There's 2 flags right in a row, and he is starting this golf ball just left a couple yards. That was a little bit a bigger fade. Perhaps he did that one on purpose, or he's laughing about it.
Yeah,
Either a mistake or a little bit too much of a fade. But hey, this is golf. It is not a game of perfect. Even the #1 player in the world will hit shots that will surprise him, make him chuckle.
Well,
there we go.
The better I am, the luckier I get, right?
That's right. It is that balance of talent and luck and mental flexibility.
Well, I mean, you talked about being able to see him, in this way for the first time. What's so interesting about Dustin Johnson, being around him at Oakmont in 2016, you just start to look at how impressive a driving performance he put on there. I did not have the same performance the next day, and you realize, hey, how difficult it is to do what he was able to do there, and obviously blowing away the Masters in 2019 with that performance. So how will he be able to bring something like that to difficult conditions here in terms of a strong wind he'll start into on number 1?
I think if he hits the first few tee shots well, relying on that fade, controlling the start line, he's going to have some great momentum going into the rest of the round. I'd say the last few events, he has hit a couple tee shots he probably doesn't love, but going back to his major championship appearances, wins, you know, that Oakmont driving performance was just unbelievable. I've played Oakmont. It's like half a bowling alley. Those church pews lining those fairways, and you know, I'm chatting with the caddy, and he's talking about the lines that DJ took over certain church pew bunkers, and just destroying those fairways. It was just unbelievable. So he can get in a groove, and that's why he's a #1 player in the world. So we'll see if he can drive it well this week.
So now getting rid of that alignment stick now and just getting a flow without that, what do you think he's looking at and then trying to accomplish with that?
Looks like he's changing targets here, so he's probably picturing a couple of the holes that he'll be facing early on, whether it is a long second shot or something off the tee where he doesn't have to hit driver. Some of those downwind holes I'm sure will play pretty short because it's a strong wind right now, so he's always going to have to hit a couple fairway metals off the deck and off the tee just to get a sense of how far that ball's going.
You can tell that was high. That was a little bit off the map.
Yeah, he chuckled about that one. So.
Well, what's interesting is when you do hit a couple of balls not in the way that you intended, what do you take from the fact that he's smiling after that? This is not a grind. He seems to be pretty relaxed.
I love that, actually. He's just brushing it off, no big deal. But that's how DJ approaches golf, right? He thinks well around the golf course, but it is no big deal whether he hits a poor shot, and that is going to happen all the time in golf. So you have to brush it off. You know, I was looking at some of the other players in the range, and some of them were shaking their head, a little frustrated, and curious to see how that attitude translates to a score. So those chuckles, I think, is a very good sign.
Interesting that he is not pressing, again, back in a major championship in his home state, and that would be an opportunity that some players would grind over. They might put some pressure on themselves, and this is certainly not a player that does that.
No, I think he got that monkey off his back with the win, you know, in Augusta in his home state. You do have that added pressure when you feel like it is your, you know, home field advantage per se. So he has that title under his belt, and that was huge for him. So it's no pressure here at all for him.
Of course, he's being looked at after by his coach, Claude Harmon III, who has been with him throughout this journey. Alan Terrell, who's worked with him as a junior, also in business with Dustin Johnson as well. So those two coaches have gotten him to this point.
Did you see that little clip of him talking about his new putter in the bag?
Yeah, and he's one of those guys that doesn't know the model.
Right.
Just put it in his hands and let him go.
He's like, it's a tailor-made. So I just love that. I mean, nothing crazy technical. It's just, okay, I'm going to roll these balls in the hole. Very matter of fact, it's a tailor-made.
Well, what's interesting is you talk about someone who's not technical, and yet he still has the TrackMan out there and things like that. So is that where we're talking about a little bit of a balance to try to make sure that that feel is matched by reality?
For sure. I think that DJ is always dialing in those numbers because he's such a long player, and he knows that if he hits his numbers, he can make a ton of birdies, but he's not going to be technical with a putter in his hand. It's going to be all feel. He's going to be a magician and picture that ball rolling into the hole.
Well, that last 3-wood was flat and straight and beautiful, and we'll see if he can take that to the first tee. It's 1:45 now, just a little bit more than 20 minutes from now. We're going to see Dustin Johnson in a great group, Shane Lowry and Sergio Garcia, and we'll look forward to seeing that as we continue now on PGA Coaching Live.
And we welcome you back into our PGA Coaching Live set presented by Cadillac. And we are thrilled now to be joined by the 2009 PGA Teacher and Coach of the Year and Zach Johnson's coach, Mike Bender. Mike, thanks so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you followed Zach around all day today for his first round. Give us a sense of how his round went. Kind of take us through it.
Yeah, I mean, it's an up and down day, but got off to a really good start off the back nine. We're going downwind on every hole, and he was able to sneak in an eagle on the first par 5, which got off to a great start, and then you turn around, come back into the wind on those last few holes on that back nine are really tough, but he made pars and got in at a couple under. So I'm thinking, okay, we're doing good. But then out on that front nine, those first 4 or 5 holes into the wind, where he made some bogeys, a few mistakes, but overall, I mean, he's really playing well.
Yeah, and the conditions on this course just very hard to predict. What's going to be the key for Zach as the weekend goes on?
I think he's just got to make sure, not making too many mistakes. You've got to get greens in regulation. Even if you've got a wedge in your hand, you're thinking about trying to knock it in there close, but you got to make sure you don't short side yourself. And for him, he's got to putt well and just try to keep that ball in the fairway as much as possible.
Now, you've coached Zach Johnson through 2 major championships, 2007 Masters, 2015 Open Championship. What's the mentality that a Zach Johnson has that maybe a Tony Finau or some of the other players who haven't cracked through that winner's circle in the major championship have? What's that intangible?
I mean, I just think Zach is a heck of a competitor, and when adversity strikes, I mean, the 4-round tournament, a lot of things can happen, and you just got to keep hanging in there, and he's one of the best that I've ever been around at doing that.
Yeah, your level of play and your level of coaching, obviously you have your own golf academy, the Magnolia Plantation, Lake Mary, Florida, just outside of Orlando. Explain maybe some of the other players and the mentors and everybody who's influenced you and who you influence along the way.
Well, we have a great elite junior program, and we have kids that come from all around the world, and they stay there, and we train them every day, and it's really fun imparting knowledge on those kids because they're like sponges, and learning all the things that took us 30 years to learn, we can give it to them, and that's why you're seeing so many great young players today. And as far as influences, I mean, growing up, I played the tour myself, but I worked with David Ledbetter, and I worked with Mike Adams, and then got a lot of help from Mac O'Grady when I was out on the PGA Tour, and those guys really helped me kind of develop my foundation for what I do now.
Mike, when it comes to Zach's physical game, what's something that maybe our viewers at home can take away that he does extremely well?
Well, one thing, growing up in Iowa, people think, Texas is windy, but you should see Iowa. I mean, Iowa's probably one of the windiest states in the country in the summertime, and you've got to flight the ball down. You've got to keep it down. I'm sure there's been a lot of talk this week from all the coaches about how important that is. And, so he's an expert at it, and he has that strong grip and kind of gets that club face closed, which helps keep the ball down as well. So when he gets in conditions like this, I always think he has kind of an edge.
And it's, you talk about coaching the physical side of the game. How do you as a coach go about coaching the mental side of the game?
Well, fortunately, Zach has a mental coach, Morris Pickens, and but I mean, as coaches, we all have to be well-rounded and just keep him on task. And I think players have their strengths and weaknesses mentally, and so you just got to keep reminding them of the mental cues that help him stay in the game. But Zach, I said, Zach's a competitor. He's pretty good at staying in the moment.
Of all the hours you spend on the lesson tee, what really drives you to just continue the chase for greatness and for betterment of your knowledge to pass on to your students?
I've been there. We all know how much fun it is to hit great shots, and when you see somebody hit shots better than they've ever hit before, or more consistent or longer, I mean, the thrill of that, I mean, it makes me feel good that I can help them to enjoy the game that much more. So it's great. You need a coach, though, because this is a really technical game, like playing a musical instrument. So it's important to have a coach to give you some direction so that when you're spending time on that range, you're getting productive. Quality versus quantity.
Mike, we cannot thank you enough for coming on. We wish you and Zach the best of luck as the tournament goes on. And it is busy out on the range at the moment, so let's send it back to Scott Walker and Joanna Coe.
And thank you, Melanie. Of course, now with Patrick Cantlay behind us and his longtime coach, Jamie Mulligan. Cantlay has been one of those players that really over the beginning of this year was hitting it great, playing well, looked like he was a player that was going to contend in majors. Has slipped a little bit today. What do you see from Cantlay here?
Cantley's had a few swings that he did not love, to be honest. Kind of didn't follow through all the way, a little disgruntled. Looks a bit result-oriented right now, looking at a lot of the numbers. You can tell when he's pleased with the shot, not pleased with the shot. So that'll be interesting how he translates that or transfers that to the golf course.
So what happens if you're talking to a student who isn't quite hitting it the way they want and maybe the emotions are coming up? What do you tell them about how to leave that behind and bring your best golf to the first tee?
Yeah, if I were the coach seeing a couple of those swings, I would just focus on his timing, his tempo sequence, nothing too technical at this point. I mean, he's got to go to the first tee in a few, so I mean, anything to get him in the right frame of mind, because we've all been there where you're struggling on the driving range and then, you know, shoot one of the best rounds of your life. So anyone can, especially, look, see another one of those swings, not pleased with it. But these players, I mean, these are the best players in the world. They can turn it on at any point. So hopefully he's still positive and trusting that all the work throughout his career will transfer the golf course today on the Ocean course.
Tied for third in 2019. Of course, behind Brooks Koepka there at Bethpage Black. But that shows that Bethpage, one of those real ball strikers golf courses, and just like this place is as well. So he certainly has the talent to play well this week.
He does. He's a big time player. You know, he will contend in majors. We'll see. It could be his week. It could be one of those where it's like, wow, I was able to turn it around, overcome challenges, overcome adversity. That's why golf is an amazing game. So, you know, we see the difference of the attitude with DJ chuckling, and then we see a little frustrated Patrick Cantlay who knows? It'll be curious to see how his score is later.
Well, he's going to tee off 11 minutes after Dustin Johnson, playing with Matt Kuchar and Thomas Pieters, the Belgian. What do you think about the tempo of the swing right now?
I mean, generally beautiful tempo. I do see a couple swings where he's getting a little quick from the top in transition, and that's when he wipes it a little bit to the right. Haven't seen any overcooked left, but yeah, just a little quick. It's not dead off the sweet spot right now, so something's going on a little bit technically. But again, he's contended in many events. He can turn it on. You just need that one swing to get you back, whether it's that one swing or a mentality. So this will be an interesting story to cover today.
Well, again, we're about a half hour from seeing that group with Patrick Cantlay, Matt Kuchar, and Thomas Pieters. We'll wrap up from here now as we continue on this 2-hour block of PGA Coaching Live presented by Cadillac.
Play the 9-Shot Challenge, presented by the 2021 PGA Championship, now through Sunday, for a chance to win some incredible prizes, including a trip to next year's PGA Championship. Visit topgolf.com/9shot challenge for more information. Wow, look at these aerial views. What a golf course.
Spectacular. 10 holes right abutting the Atlantic Ocean here at the Kiawah Island Resort. This ocean course is just spectacular. See how that 18th fairway serpentines around 505 yards dead into the wind, Melanie, and just a dramatic finish. We've seen this hole a lot in past history. Really, the debut of this golf course was back in 1991. Who could forget the War by the Shore, the Ryder Cup? We've had Dave Stockton on a few times on our PGA Coaching Live set, and he remembers that one very well. But just a tremendous, tremendous venue and immaculate conditions here on this property.
Yeah, it truly could not be more beautiful on those 10 holes. The most along the coast of any course in the United States. And we welcome you back to our PGA Coaching Live set presented by Cadillac. What a day it has been so far. The players in the first wave have finished their rounds. We've still got some guys on the range. Steve, for you as a player, is it more preferable to have an early morning tee time to start a tournament or in the afternoon?
Well, I guess you're going to have one or the other going into the first two rounds. The field is split. If you play in the afternoon today, you play in the morning tomorrow, and vice versa. But I personally like the afternoon and then the morning tee times, because if you're playing well, especially if you're playing well, because if you're playing well, you kind of just go to sleep, you grab some dinner, you go to sleep, you wake up, and then you're right back at it, and you're trying to carry on that great play. I think if you're not playing well, you'd actually like to have the other version, because you really you have about 24 hours of time between rounds, and you have time to kind of regroup and maybe lick your wounds, so to speak. But yeah, these players, they're going through a lot. They're trying to figure out what's the best course of action. Those who've played, maybe some of them are out here kind of just warming down after their round and going to grab some lunch and have at it tomorrow.
Yeah, well, we've had a pretty consistent breeze, about 12 miles per hour out of the northeast. Supposed to continue for most of the weekend. However, we were just told on Sunday that wind is expected to completely change directions. What are these players looking at for Sunday? Possibly a dramatic finish with the changing winds?
Melanie, it's just an ever-changing game, this game of golf. I mean, the golf course and the confines at which we play, it's not like any other sport, right? And this is why you need a PGA coach to help you understand all the different lies and the different turf conditions and all the different scenarios that you face in a round of golf. And these players, they figured it out, and they're going to keep trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and we can't wait to see how the rest of the tournament plays out. That's going to do it for our second hour of this 2-hour edition of PGA Coaching Live, presented by Cadillac. Be sure to join us tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. for plenty more instruction, recommendations, and tips, everything you could possibly need to better your game at home. And in the meantime, be sure to keep it locked to our exclusive range feed. We'll see you in the morning.